Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, my rich neighbor constantly blocked our handicap parking spot, we got revenge on him, and he lost his home. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. I live in an apartment building with my wife and my brother. I just want to tell you a little bit about my brother to explain why we have a disabled parking spot for him. Ever since he was born, he was basically told that he would need somebody to help take care of him for the rest of his life. I don't want to go into too many details since that is not the point of the story, but he has both mental and physical disabilities. Sometimes he is in a wheelchair and on rare occasions he is using a walker where stepping is not exactly easy. My parents got too old to take care of him and I was not going to let him go into a home when I was capable, so he lives with us. The way our building works is that if you pay and get a pass on your car, then you can park anywhere in the parking lot. There are no assigned spots for people to park in, except right near the front of the door, and the spots are assigned and numbered. Due to my brother, we have one of those spots assigned to us as they are legally meant to be spots for disabled residents. The neighborhood has been changing and a few rich, snotty people decided to move in within the last couple of years. One guy in particular thinks that he is too good to walk to the front door and wants to have a spot in the front. Of course, he is always told no because he is not disabled and can just pay extra to get one. I know sometimes he sees me without my brother and might have gotten the wrong idea about our spot that way. On the other end, I know that everybody in the building knows about my brother because people can see him and the nature of people is to stare and talk about him. I guess at some point he decided that he could just do anything he wanted and instead of parking somewhere else, he decided to park right in my spot to avoid the rain. Now, this was not the first time he had done this and gotten warned that he cannot. This day was just the worst example of it and the final straw for me with this guy. I was coming home early from work that day to take my brother to an appointment and that is when I saw his shiny Lexus right in my spot. There were no closed spots for the meantime, and I was angry about it. I ended up double parking in front of the building and going up to get my brother ready and bring him down to avoid the rain as best as I could. I made sure to take pictures of the license plate and car and sent them directly to the building manager. This guy does not mess around and, like a lot of people in the building, seems to really like my brother. He is the kind of guy that is always smiling and enjoys saying hello to everybody in the elevator. While waiting for the doctor, I get a message from the building manager that he tried knocking on the man's door, but since he got no answer, he called the police for the illegal parking. He promised me that by the time I got back, his car would either be parked somewhere else or towed away. I seriously just want to shout this guy out because the spot is not labeled as handicap parking, so only he could really get it towed away. He was right though, and when we got back our spot was empty and we were able to go upstairs. The neighbor did not stop there though and instead cornered me when I was going to my car the next day and screaming that I was going to pay the fines in order to get his car back. I told him that he was out of his mind if he thought that and to get the hell out of my way. I messaged the building manager again because I just wanted to be safe and let him know the guy's response to getting towed. Finally, he did something so horrible that there was nothing he could do to save himself from it. He tried to start a kind of campaign in the building where he would go around trying to get people to sign a petition to the building manager that he wrote. It was basically saying that disabled people should not be given privileges and the building should ban them altogether and make it a building only for normal people. Like I said before, the neighbors mostly loved my brother and were disgusted by the fact that they were even getting asked this by the guy. One neighbor told me when I got home, even before I could get into the elevator, what had happened, and I had decided I had enough with this guy, and I messaged the building manager what he was doing and went right to his door to confront him. He came into the hall and started yelling at me and calling my brother all kinds of slurs regarding him being disabled. It was disgusting and I was ready to face the consequences and punch him right in the face. Nobody talks about my brother that way, and I would end up with a police record if it meant defending him against jerks like my neighbor. Before I could do that though, I saw the building manager coming between the two of us and stopping me from knocking him on the ground unconscious. The building manager started to speak to the neighbor and told him that he knew in the lease agreement that if complaints were filed and building rules were violated, that it was grounds for the lease to be terminated. He argued back, of course, that he did not break any rules and he could not get kicked out of the building. Stealing the parking spot was a violation of the rules, which the manager was quick to point out. It turns out that I was not the only person that had been complaining about this neighbor. Once a neighbor had heard his horrible pitch to get rid of my brother, a ton of them messaged or called the building manager to complain. Then he heard all of the things he was saying to me right there and went as far as to call it a hate crime to try and get a disabled man evicted from his home. I went back to my apartment and let him deal with my neighbor and getting him out. A few days later there was no trace of him left and he was fully kicked out of the building for the stunts that he had been pulling. And now I have one less thing to worry about since he cannot come and steal my parking spot anymore. I honestly cannot believe that somebody can be so selfish and heartless that they think they are entitled to good parking for no reason, and especially taking a handicapped parking spot when they are not disabled. When I go to the store without my brother, I don't park in the handicap spots because I don't need them. People who don't need them should not think that if they have money, that means they can. There are so many people out there like my brother that get screwed over on a daily basis because of people that acted like my neighbor did. I hope that getting better parking was worth losing your entire home over if you are reading this. And yeah guys, that is exactly what should happen to people who park in handicap spots if they are not even disabled. Especially when it is rich entitled douchebags. The next story is titled Business Suit Kevin and Some Petty Revenge. This one was posted by user IronFiend81 on r/ripe stories. This happened a few years ago but always brings a smile when I remember it. I used to work as a barman in a bar/restaurant/nightclub named after the Windy City here in the UK. Let me set the scene: midweek, quiet lunchtime with a single customer, a mother with 2 kids. It was just me and the manager in. I was on the bar and the manager was running the kitchen. So the cast is me, man for manager, and Kevin, the guy in the business suit. The mother and the kids play a supporting role with no lines. So the little family had just finished eating and came up to the bar to pay. While she was searching through her massive handbag, in walks Kevin, as he strolls up to the bar with his best attempt of appearing like a powerful businessman, and failing miserably, I cheerfully say, "Hey there, I'll be with you in just a minute." At this point mom is getting flustered as 2 preteen kids are running off a sugar high and she cannot find her purse in the handbag equivalent of the Bermuda Triangle. Kevin is just staring after another few frantic attempts of delving through the abyss, and me reassuring Kevin that I'll be with him as soon as possible, mom pulls out a checkbook. Okay, no biggie, but this was no ordinary checkbook. This was a check that most bar workers rarely ever see. It was a business check. Unsure on what to do with this type of check, I apologized to both the mom and Kevin and explained that I would have to confirm that we could accept this type of check. Bear in mind that this was a time when checks were slowly being phased out and chip and pin had been in for about a year. So off I scurry to the kitchen. Me, "Hey boss, can we accept business checks?" Manager, "Sure, just follow the usual rules on accepting a check." For those of you too young to know or remember, when you presented a check in the UK, you would also present your debit/check guarantee card. If this was absent, then contact info on the back was also accepted. So, without appearing to run but moving at a good speed, I get back to the bar and confirm that it is okay to accept. She writes the check, I ask her to write the contact info on the back and ask for proof of signature. She looks worried but then pulls out her driving license from her pocket. Confirm signature and for extra measure check address as well. Ring it through, print receipt and with a "thank you and come again." She exited the store. Now the main act. Me, "Sorry for the wait. How may I help you?" Kevin, "Took your time." Me, "Yes, sorry for that. I just had to confirm with my manager about the process of accepting business checks as it's been a while since I processed one." Kevin, Yeah, whatever." Me, "So what can I get you?" Kevin, "I don't like waiting." Yes, I'm sorry. Kevin, "Do you like working here?" Yeah, I do. It's Kevin, well, you won't be working here much longer once I've spoken to your manager. Me, 1 second. I leave and go into the kitchen. Me, hey boss. Manager, yes mate. Me, I've got a bloke here who reckons he's going to have me fired. Manager, really? Moves to the kitchen door. Which one? Me, the dick in the suit. Man, leave this to me. Me and my boss then walk up to Kevin. Manager, I was told you wanted to see me. Kevin, yes, you're... Manager, don't ever come into my building and threaten one of my staff with their jobs. Turns to me. Can you handle that now, OP? Me, sure. I then head back behind the bar and my boss watches from the kitchen door. Now a little info for you all. Here in the UK, a bartender can refuse service to anyone they suspect has had too much to drink. No proof needed. Kevin, give me a pint of generic lager. Me, sorry, but I believe that you are too drunk and so I'm refusing you service and must ask you to leave the premises. Now, anyone who has worked behind a bar long enough has two different voices. The serving voice, gentle and sweet, encouraging you to feel welcome and to spend. And then you got a get the F out of my bar voice. Kevin was so shocked by the destruction of his sense of entitlement and control that his mouth opened and closed like a goldfish before walking out, head lowered. So yeah, that was the time Kevin tried the whole I wanna see your manager routine, only to be denied a cold pint on a warm day. And yeah guys, I definitely approve of that policy, but I think it should be expanded to if the customer is a douchebag, you should be able to deny him service. But I suppose that can get you in legal trouble or something in the UK. Either way, the next one is titled Revenge on a Douchebag. This guy, in his maybe late 60s, is acting like a jerk to the young lady working the self-checkout machines and how they are not working and how he hates everything about them and wishes they were removed in favor of cashiers again, like the good old days. This guy did not need to go to the 4 self-out checkout machine areas staffed by this woman. There was literally 2 other employees attending to 2 other checkouts 10 and 20 feet away. And if he felt like walking for 10 seconds, there was a 3rd lane open with nobody there on the other side of the seasonal stuff at the front. So this guy is basically screaming at this woman for no reason. It is not her fault. She did not design the store, she did not make the self-checkout machines, and she also did not piss in his Cheerios that morning. But nevertheless, he is getting belligerent and unloading on her. I was at the register, not next to him, but opposite him in the 4-machine corral. I turned and discreetly said to her, "You're alright, need me to step in?" She quietly gave me a very relaxed and very in control, "No, thank you though," with a friendly head nod. Despite his behavior, she was in total control of this situation, and the sad thing is he probably was not the first or last rude customer she has dealt with that day. He finishes paying about 30 seconds ahead of me, and on the way out of the door I hear him say, albeit much quieter, but still plenty loud for her and others to hear, "Thanks for your help, C-word." As I am walking out the door, seriously deciding if I'm about to fight and probably get whipped in the process, I see him about 50 feet ahead in the parking lot and see, while juggling his wood pieces and bags, he drops his car key ring with about 30 other keys on it, 3 feet from a parking lot storm drain. I am so excited, I'm almost shaking. It is like the heavens opened up and told that woman that I'm going to fix this for you. So I did what any helpful 30-year-old would do, and I gently half-kicked them off the side of my boot towards the drain. They hit one of the great openings and I heard the most satisfying splash of my life. The best part was the water was pitch black and down a few feet, so you're not seeing anything when you look straight down. Checkmate, Home Depot lady. ETA, just to answer a couple of questions I've seen come up a few times. I did not hang around to watch him look for his keys, and number 2, I also did not go back inside the store to let the woman know anything about this. Number 3, I definitely was not trying to be condescending towards her by asking if she needed help. I am not a fighter and wanted no part of anything physical, but his tone was amping up and something about the interaction felt worse than your average a-hole customer. Number 4, one person said I charge around looking for ways to abuse the elderly. You are clearly insane. Had he had any type of interaction with the employee other than what he had, I would have shouted, "Hey man, you dropped your keys," and picked them up and walked towards him. Update to the story: I was at the Home Depot this morning and saw the same woman again. I decided to quickly let her know what happened. The entire conversation lasted maybe 3 minutes. I walked up to her and said, "Hey, sorry you had to deal with that guy from the other day. I just wanted you to know he dropped his car keys next to the storm drain in the parking lot and I may have accidentally nudged them in," while side-smiling sheepishly. He should not be yelling at employees and it's never okay to call women the C-word. Her eyes got wide and she let out a laugh, smiled and said he did come back in a couple times asking if anyone had seen his keys, which they had not. I guess he was less aggressive while walking around looking. I asked if she knew if his car was towed or his spouse brought a backup seat, etc., and she had no idea and did not see it. I said she handled herself well and she should be proud. Customers can be tough sometimes, so she said thank you so much and that was it. The moral of this event is just to be nice to people in retail. It is not that hard. You don't even have to be overtly nice, just be normal. It is so easy to not scream at an employee. Most people successfully do it every day. And yeah, ripe stars, I don't even understand how people get the idea that it would be smart to yell at people in public. I just find that embarrassing. And the next one is titled, "Am I the jerk for telling my wife her parents are not allowed to ever watch our son again?" My wife and I have a 2-year-old son and have been married for 4 years. Our anniversary was a month ago and we found a nice secluded cabin on Airbnb and rented it out for a long weekend getaway. My wife asked her parents if they would be willing to watch our son and they agreed as long as we dropped him off at their house. That worked for us since it was on our way anyway. I was raised Lutheran and my wife was raised Catholic, but neither of us currently go to church and have not had our son baptized. My mother-in-law knows this and hates it. She thinks our son needs to be baptized or he will burn in hell. She is that kind of Catholic. So we go on our trip and when we pick up our son and ask how the weekend went, mother-in-law says everything went fine and that she has saved my son's soul from the devil. I ask her what she meant and she says she had our son baptized that morning at her church. I tried my best to keep my cool, so I didn't scream at mother-in-law in front of my son, but I pretty much grabbed my son and left. On the car ride home, I was fuming and told my wife as calmly as I could that this would be the last time her parents have our son unsupervised. She tried to downplay what her mom had done, but I told her we need to wait until we get home to talk about it because I'm not fighting in front of my kid. When we got home and had a chance to talk about it, things got heated. I told my wife I no longer trust her parents with our son and that if they did something like this behind our backs, I cannot trust them to respect our wishes as parents in the future. I said this was a huge breach of trust and will forever look at her mom differently. She continued to try to defend her mom, saying that she was only doing what she thought was best for her grandson. She even downplayed it by saying that it is just a little water and a few words and we don't go to church anyway, so what does it matter? I told her that under no circumstances will I allow her parents to watch our son by themselves again. I said that we can still let them see their grandson, but only if we are present. I also said that if she doesn't see what the big deal is with this situation, that maybe we are not on the same page as parents and maybe we need to see a counselor. She started crying and said that this is not the kind of decision I get to make on my own and I am an a-hole for trying to tell her what kind of relationship her parents can have with our son. I told her that I no longer have any trust or respect for her parents and that I don't know if there's anything they can do to repair that. I told her I don't care if that makes me an a-hole, but what her parents did was unforgivable in my eyes and they put themselves in this position to lose privileges with our son. She's been trying to convince me to change my mind for the last month, but I'm not budging. To me, this is a hill I am willing to die on. And a user in the comments said, "Not the a-hole, these types of baptisms violate church law and if it actually was done by their priest, you should contact the bishop and file a complaint." And guys, I'm wondering, what is your opinion about all of this? Do you think OP is overreacting or if he is the a-hole? Personally, I would say he's definitely not the a-hole because, in my opinion, if that happened to my own kid and my in-laws would have done that, I would definitely be against it as well. Especially if they did not talk about it with me before. Let us know about your thoughts in the comments. Update to the "Am I the a-hole for telling my wife her parents are not allowed to watch our son ever again" story. Turns out some of you were right. My wife was in on it. I confronted her a couple days after I posted and directly asked her if she knew that her parents planned this. She broke down and confessed everything to me. Mother-in-law had been pestering her about baptizing our son non-stop, and my wife finally caved. My wife has been working from home during the virus while my job requires me to go into office. My wife and mother-in-law started doing Zoom meetings with mother-in-law's priest to start the baptism process. They lied to the priest and told him that I was okay with baptizing our son, but did not want to be involved. The priest allowed it and they started doing online baptism classes while I was at work. My wife admitted that she planned it around our anniversary getaway and that mother-in-law had somehow convinced the priest that her and father-in-law would be the only ones in attendance. My wife told me that I wasn't supposed to find out, but mother-in-law could not keep her mouth shut for even one day about it. Their intention was to keep this from me permanently. I did contact the church to let them know the truth. I talked with the priest and he was surprisingly helpful. He said he would take the proper steps to make sure mother-in-law is no longer welcome in their church and to reach out to the local parish to see what further steps need to be taken. I have yet to hear back from them on that. My wife and mother-in-law are mad that I got her kicked out of her church, but I don't care what they think or feel anymore. These people who I love and trust had betrayed me, and I felt a range of emotions I did not know existed. My wife begged for forgiveness, but the fact that she didn't come clean on her own makes me feel she would have kept this from me unless I confronted her. She's willing to do therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. I don't know if I want to put in that work. I feel like there's no coming back from this. I contacted a divorce lawyer and started discussing what a divorce would look like and if there's any way I can add provisions to a divorce agreement that would keep my in-laws from seeing my son unsupervised. He's been very helpful, but I have not given him the go-ahead to actually file for divorce yet. I feel I am still too angry about the entire thing to think rationally and want to give myself time to fully grasp what a divorce will mean for me and my family. My wife and I are not talking much. I pretty much go to work, come home to play with my son, go to bed and repeat. I don't know what the future is going to bring, but I do know that without the support and help from people here, I don't think I would have the clarity I do now. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I don't even understand how people get the idea that it would be smart to yell at people in public. I just find that embarrassing. Either way, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again tomorrow.